Leo Morejon. He will be presenting on influencer marketing. Influence matters, an overview of influencer marketing, why it's important, and how to succeed. Leo is an award-winning marketer, educator, and content creator. He attributes his success to always valuing people, relationships, and focusing on being a trusted advisor above all else. During his time with the Brand Strategy and Emerging Media Department at 360i, he pioneered real-time social media marketing with his work at Oreo, securing the first social media Guinness World Record and the famous Oreo Super Bowl Blackout Tweet, among other notable campaigns. Today, Leo leads contact and activation at brand consultancy Build and Inspire, and hosts its popular business podcast. Welcome, Leo.
Thank you. The best part of all that is that you were able to say my last name correctly. I say, if you don't want to say it, you don't have to say it at all. All right, you guys ready? Yeah. It's early. I got a lot of slides. Hopefully they're funny. Can you hear me in the back? Yeah? If not, I could point at you and you let me know. I won't point too many times at people, but I do have a little laser, so don't worry. So, influencer marketing. What is it? You might have heard of it from this guy, Billy McFarland. If not, don't worry. I'm going to explain in just a second. Or maybe this guy. Yeah? Who's a Jurassic Park fan? I feel like he looks like a velociraptor. Or like, that should be me up there, right? They created what came to be known as the Fire Festival. How could they not mess this up, right? Like, this was a bad event that they did. I knew it was going to be bad when I saw that it was spelled with a Y. I looked it up. That's not how you spell fire, actually. It's not. So that's a festival that came to be known as one picture. Who saw the documentaries on Netflix or Hulu? Who knows what I'm talking about? All right, most folks. Cool. This. You can just show this photo, and anybody who's seen the documentary or anybody who's gone to it will actually know what we're talking about. How can anything in this world become to known as that picture? Let's look at it again. What the heck? Come on. Like, that one picture. I actually gave a talk about the Fire Festival, and the event organizers actually gave out that meal for fun. Yeah. It was fun, though. Here we go. So, sorry. They really brought influencer marketing to the attention of the world, but it was bad. It was really not a good thing. They promoted a crappy event, and I'll get to it later. It wasn't successful. It really wasn't. So everyone loves to tout them as like the best practices or as a good opportunity to do influencer marketing and all this amazing stuff they did. It wasn't good at all, and I'm going to get to that. And I'm going to get to that so that also you could be successful at influencer marketing in anything that you're doing with your brands or anything else. But again, just in case you don't know, Billy McFarland, Ja Rule, Ashanti wasn't there, if anybody gets the reference, then they had this event, and it looked like this. This is what happened. Actually, I had a friend that was there during this thing. He had to put all the money on his credit card to get back home. This. It was bad. But again, in many ways, they were able to bring influencer marketing to a bit of the social consciousness, and people started talking about it. My mom finally knew what I did. Like, it was a good thing. I could actually talk to people about it. Like, what do you do? I'm like, did you see the Fire Festival? It's kind of like that, but a little better. And there's some Oreo cookies somewhere in there. So, but it was bad attention. And obviously, I had to help fight that. But anyway, I digress. What is influencer marketing? That's really what you came here to do, right? Not talk about the Fire Festival. So what is it? It's the use of popular people, like Kim, you got it, you might know her. Jake Paul, you might know him. Yeah, no? Or pets. Pets are ridiculously popular. Who follows pets here? Yeah? Mostly everyone. Who has an Instagram account for their pet? Oh, wow. All right, yeah. So, this is a famous dog. This is a dog that's going to become famous soon. There we go. She was with Jon Snow. On social media. So it's people that have a lot of following on social media and using them to promote your business. Product, services, whatever it may be. That is what influencer marketing is at its core. And that's really the focus. That's what the Fire Festival did. That's what a lot of brands that you're going to see here soon have done really successfully to build brand awareness and so much more. So why is it important? Well, look at this. Organic reach is down to 2% on average across social media. That means, if you're unfamiliar with what that means, that if you post something on Facebook, no one's seeing it unless you're really promoting it. And that's being lowered. I'm okay with that too, to be honest. A lot of clients say, this is terrible. Facebook's a business. They got to make money. They got to pay for servers. They got to pay for things. That's why it's happening. So it's getting so bad that actually about a year ago, Facebook did a study. And in Europe, they picked 3 random countries, and they shut off all organic reach, 100% of organic reach for any page or any business. That means if you posted, you needed to pay to promote that post. Boosting, sponsoring, those are all the terms we use. So that's one of the reasons that they're important. The other one is ad blocker. It's a thing. Who uses ad blocker here? And if you don't use it, truthfully, Chrome is building it in, so you're probably using it regardless, even if you don't know. So what it is, it's exactly what the word says. It's blocking ads. What's funny is, when I grabbed this image, I didn't realize that I was blocking the ad. And this is what I do for a living. I don't want to block the ads. I don't want to see ads. And consumer trust is at an all-time low. People, and especially younger folks, don't trust brands. They just don't. We've been lied to. We've all been lied to by a product, by a commercial, one thing or another. Who actually here trusts commercials? Exactly. Now, one person. Cool. Did you get like,
Not all.
not all commercials.
Selective.
There you go. It's scary, right? As marketers, we're supposed to engage people, we're supposed to touch people, we're supposed to be memorable, but technology, the technology that's helped us, the technology that has brought us together, now is actually in a way turning on us. But truthfully, I just look at it as an opportunity, and it's a good time for you to be creative and even more creative. And guess what? That's our job. And that's fun, and this is why we do what we do. So, at the end of the day, though, that's not really why influencer marketing is important. Again, it matters because just like social media, it has always been around. Okay? Social media is just the human experience happening online. So, at the end of the day, again, these conversations have always been happening. They were happening in locker rooms, they're happening with friends, now just happening on Facebook, Twitter, so on and so on. And the cool part is, this is really exciting, because there's not much for you to learn, just from like a technical perspective, sure, like when to post, how to post, all that kind of good stuff, but you understand how humans interact. So you understand influencer marketing. That's a beautiful thing, that's an amazing thing. You understand human connections, that's why we're here. Bam. But, so everything is just supported by the internet. Again, it's the human experience happening online. And that's, again, such an amazing, awesome thing to be a part of. I personally love it. We have the ability now to connect with anybody and do almost anything, regardless of where we are. People trust people, always have, right? Always will. Well, maybe not after this little thing here. As someone who grew up with Aladdin and then saw this, did you guys see the movie? No? All right, I didn't see it either because of that. All right, so here's the thing. Again, it's nothing new. You understand influencer marketing. It's just technology that's different and the way that it's being implemented that is different. We used to know them in the past as other words. So we knew them as spokespeople, we knew them as ambassadors, we also knew them as community leaders, so on and so on. So you remember him? His Hanes commercials? He was an influencer, right? That's why I wear Hanes. So Britney Spears, she was an influencer. Michael Jackson, countless people that we could name throughout history, even before media, even before TV, even before print, that we could call influencers. It's always happened. You might be an influencer too, and that's something that we're going to get into called micro and nano influencers. Like, you have influence over your friends, families, students. You are an influencer too. Okay? The thing is, old influencers, ambassadors, celebrities, all that would cost more, a heck of a lot more. And they actually presented a higher brand risk, more risk than you've ever really thought about. And I'm going to explain why in just a second. So, with influencers, you should and can activate hundreds to thousands of influencers that have a smaller following, right? You get anywhere between 2,000 to 50,000. You could actually spend maybe about $100 per each. Getting Michael Jordan is in the millions and millions and millions, okay? So, like I mentioned, much, much less expensive. Now, that's not really even the beautiful part. As we all know, studying PR, crisis management, things like that, hurting your brand from a PR perspective, you can't really measure the price, really, right? It could exist forever, and you'll be up all night working on that. So if one messes up, one person just makes one mistake, then you're in for a big, big mess. It's happened. Anybody know what happened with him? Right? He was dropped from every single one of his sponsors. Here's the thing, though. Before we get on how we start, yep, Nike. Oh. But before we get on that, what ended up happening was, if you're working with hundreds of influencers or thousands of influencers, and one messes up, just get rid of them. If Tiger Woods, after you spent millions and millions of dollars, messes up, what are you going to do? That's a real PR mess, okay? So, how did it start? While this is debatable, and my friends and I, colleagues and I have this conversation all the time, really influencer marketing as we know it today, when it comes to using social media and technology to promote popular people, to sell their businesses, services, and so on, started really about 2010 to 2013. There were two significant things that happened during that time. Let's see what they were. You maybe know this one. Who knows what this one is? Vine. Yep. Vine and Instagram either were getting started, were just founded, or getting really popular during that time. And if you look at YouTube now, a lot of the influencers on there were influencers from Vine. So just in case you don't remember, it was 6-second videos that were done and shared almost like a tweet. I spent hours watching these. Like, more than I'm like happy to share. Like, hours watching 6-second videos. Why do you think I talk so fast? So today it's growing. And the growth is exponential, it's phenomenal. Look at this. In 2015, 500 million. It's expected to be 10 billion by 2020. Okay? So if you don't think this is a real thing, it is. It's a real thing because it works. All right? It actually does work. You're going to find plenty of examples of it not working at the Fire Festival. But here's the thing. It's probably not done correctly. I could find you hundreds, thousands of examples where social media was crappy and not done well. Does that mean it's not a good thing? Same thing for commercials. Same thing for anything. It's just a tool. Okay? It's very effective and effective. So if anybody's finding it very ineffective, it's really that they're either not doing it, don't trust it, or have not done it well just yet. Because it does take practice. Okay? So what are they good for? They're good for content creation. That's one of the things that people forget about. People always talk about brand awareness, which we'll get to, and they talk about sales, which we'll get to as well. But they're good for creating content. So agencies, photographers, and I know maybe there's some agency folks in here, so I'm sorry for this, and I come from the agency world, but it costs a lot of money to produce content. Influencers could produce it for $50 to $100, okay? For reals. That was done by an influencer. I mean, that looks just as good as anything we did at JWT or 360i, right? This was done by an influencer too. Look at this. Doesn't that look like a print ad? Now, I don't know exactly how much they've spent on this, but I've done many of these campaigns and again have spent $50 to $100 per influencer, therefore per piece of content. And if you write it into the contract when you're working with them, guess what? You own this. $50 to $100. Of course, I mean, add maybe even 30% to that for management, resources, things like that. It's still less expensive than hiring a photographer. Heck, getting a headshot is going to be like $200. All right? So content is really important. So even if you don't believe in influencers for brand awareness, impressions, engagement, all that, that's fine. Why don't you use them for content? And guess what? They understand what works and what doesn't work. So that content is going to be built in to resonate a heck of a lot more. And there are studies showing that that content does a heck of a lot better organically and when you put paid media behind it. Because they know their audience, they know what they're doing, and people love them. This is another example. I can't do that. That looks amazing. We have another influencer here. So Chewy actually sent her a painted photo of herself, a portrait, for being an influencer. Maybe this isn't the best, but I loved it so much that now I shared it about Chewy, not only on my social media, on her social media, and now I'm talking about it here. So this content lives on forever. So use them for content creation. Conversions, selling, okay? It works for selling. Now, we'll get to it later. How do you measure that? Really, how do you measure sales on social media, influencer marketing? There are a couple of ways. Obviously, if you're D2C, direct to consumer, that's going to be a lot easier. So if you're selling online, that's going to be a lot easier. But there are brand lift studies, there are sales studies that a lot of brands do not do. You should be doing this. You want to see if awareness is growing for your brand. You want to see if sales are happening in the store. These are real effective ways to measure what's working and what's not working. So if someone asks you about ROI on social media or an influencer, talk to them about brand studies. And this is something, maybe talk to Patrick over here from Nielsen, that Nielsen does a lot of this as well. So it's something that's really important. And then brand awareness. Bam! There we go. Brand awareness, it's one of the best opportunities. Again, ad blocker. Again, we have all the things that I mentioned before. People don't trust your brand. People don't trust what's happening on the internet. Unless you're paying money to promote your posts, it's not being seen by anyone. So influencers get through all of that. They're people just like you and me, and they just have hundreds of thousands of followers, right? And their audiences trust them. That's why they follow them. The content is amazing. Again, if I'm working for a specific brand, like when I worked for 360i or for Oreo, I'm paid to say good things about Oreo. I'm paid to say good things about 360i. Someone else isn't. And obviously they are because they're being paid, but not everyone always understands that. Right? They just see it. And hopefully the influencer, and we'll get to this too, you should be working with authentic influencers that really represent their brand, not ones that are just going to take money for anything and everything. Those are the ones you want to work for. Those are authentic. So they're going to promote things that they love themselves. Make sense? Bam, who's doing it right? For starters, again, not him. He's not doing it right. And we got to stop talking about them as a good example of what they're doing. I'm very pragmatic. I'm a very pragmatic marketer. So for instance, the Guinness World Record that was mentioned earlier, everyone always asks, what was it? What'd you say? Hey, we're going for a Guinness World Record, join us. That was it. It wasn't like twist, lick, dunk. It wasn't anything special. It was literally, hey, we're going for a Guinness World Record, join us. So I look at sales. I love brand awareness. I love advertising. I love marketing. But at the end of the day, I really consider myself a business person, and I look at sales. So per their pitch deck, they said that they were going to sell about 40,000 tickets. They didn't even come close to that. They sold 8,000 tickets. So poor souls that ended up spending up to $50,000 per ticket per experience on this. From a business perspective, when is this a good conversion rate? Never. Okay? So yeah, they got brand awareness. Yeah, they sold tickets. But let's stop using and saying that the Fire Festival was something successful or representative of any kind of social media, any kind of marketing, or anything of the sorts. It just wasn't. But who is doing it right? We have Lyft. So they're a competitor of Uber. They just IPO'd recently. They're doing it right. So actually, in 2018, according to Talkwalker, they were the most talked about from an influencer marketing engagement perspective brand of 2018. So they were able to receive 5.9 million engagements. Again, hey, you may look at this, and actually from even Oreo standards, it's kind of low, right? But these are quality engagement coming from people, influencers that have a large following of quality followers that now are following and engaging, interacting with your brand. And that is key, because we're focused on quality, not always quantity here. And of course, for them was a bit more of a awareness engagement play, because actually the one thing that influencer marketing is not really that good for is cost per acquisition. If you're looking at cost per acquisition for like subscription brands and other brands like Lyft, there's too much friction, there's too much space to actually focus on that. So again, the three main things to focus on: content awareness, conversions, and content creation. So cost per acquisition, probably not the best thing. I'm not saying that there's anybody out there not doing it correctly, but in my experience, it's awfully difficult. Canon, I mean, this is perfect for Canon. I mean, every single photo that you saw earlier could have been taken from a Canon camera. And their product is everything pretty much happening on social media. The product, not necessarily the camera, but the pictures that the camera takes, the experiences that's being shared. So they're perfect for it too. So 2.9 million engagements. Walmart, 86,000 in just 1 month using influencers. That's crazy. That's amazing. Like, when are you seeing these numbers? Again, with organic reach being down to 2%, this is incredible. You should be excited about this. Your brand, again, maybe even if it doesn't hit these numbers, it could get those quality engagements that you need to really build brand trust and build relationships and have other people do it for you. That's the most amazing part. That's incredible. And being able to do it at scale, that excites me. Like, it gets me really excited. eBay's doing fantastic. Here's the thing though, I looked at eBay's creative for like a long time. It wasn't this cool. Who thought like eBay's creative and eBay's photos were gonna be this cool? You thought of them as like maybe playing cards, secondhand things. But look at this, when I see this, I'm like, shoot, I need to go to eBay. I like that dress, or I don't even know if that's dress. I like this purse, see-through. You can see my Oreo cookies when I'm carrying around. If I put truth in it, you can see me in there with her. Like, I'll poke a hole, don't worry. Right? So why are they doing well? What's working for them? So this is the pragmatic part of my slides and me. So we're going to really focus on what you can learn and what you could do to be successful in influencer marketing. And heck, even if you're not doing influencer marketing, then you can talk about influencer marketing in class, to your clients, so on and so on. First, be truthful. Something that the Fire Festival obviously did not do. And I do encourage you to go watch both documentaries on Netflix again and in Hulu. So follow legal rules. Every time an influencer posts, they need to say #ad, #sponsored. You could either have it all the way at the bottom of your hashtags in your comment caption section, or have it at the top. I like having it at the top, to be honest. I want to be up front. The worst thing I want to do, and the worst thing that the influencers should do, is really hurt the trust and the relationship with their audiences. So make sure that you're following all the rules. It's not only good legally, it's good ethically. So getting back to ethical rules, again, make sure that it's representing your brand. You're being yourself too. You want to make sure that you're posting things that make sense, you're working with the influencers that make sense, and it's really you. Don't try to trick people. And if someone asks you if it was an ad, you tell them it was an ad. There's nothing wrong with that. Again, as long as it's authentic, it's quality, and it makes sense for your brand. I'm all about it. Let's just be humans first. That's really going to support your brand. There is ROI in being good, even though a lot of people don't think so. So use all influencer personas. This is one of the biggest misses that the Fire Festival did. And they did do some of this, so you could go do research and they did do some of this, but they didn't do it effectively and they didn't do it good enough. So we have everything from macro, micro influencers, and I'll explain them in just a second, to employees, loyalists, so on and so on. And people forget about the last two. Your employees at companies, like at Accenture, Disney, so on and so on, they're influencers themselves. So you should be using them. So this is also debatable, but generally speaking, a macro influencer is anybody that has more than 50,000 followers. That could be aggregate, but most of the time it's actually counted per influencer profile. So on Instagram, Pinterest, so on and so on. Micro, which is what Truth is, the cute little pug that you saw earlier, is 2,000 to about 50,000. That's going to be a micro influencer. And we could get, there's all these new terms, nano influencer that is even lower than that in the hundreds and things like that. But this is what you're going to be seeing out there. Again, it's about using them along with employees and loyalists. Loyalists are people that may not be creating content for you, that may not actually be out there posting so much, but they're willing to do other things. Maybe they're willing to do a rating or a review. So think about that. It's not just about what you automatically see creating content and impressions. Reviews matter. That helps with brand awareness. Employees matter. They may not have the biggest following, but they love your brand. They know your brand better than anybody else. Why shouldn't they be engaging on social media? When I worked at Accenture, we looked through everyone there, and Accenture at the time had over 300,000 people. Why didn't we have an army of 300,000 people posting or tweeting about Accenture? It's just a no-brainer. So look internally. Even if you're working with like brands like Mary Kay, they're consultants, they could be people that post for you too. So think about them. And you don't always have to call people influencers. Call them brand ambassadors. Call them spokespeople. Right? Because a lot of times, truthfully, no one knows. A lot of people don't know what influencers are. Right? It doesn't matter how old you are, what you're in. People just don't know what influencers are. But if I said, hey, do you want to be a brand ambassador? That sounds a lot cooler. Also, you're going to get a heck of a lot more people because you might say, I'm not an influencer. Right? I don't have a lot of followers. I don't really tweet. But you might love a brand so much that I could talk you into being a brand ambassador, right? Then we have the quality of the influencers. This is where I see people mess up so much. I was talking to a brand in South America, and they're like, oh, we hired someone that had 100,000 followers. I'm like, how'd it go? They're like, oh, it didn't go well at all. And Karen and I were just talking, there's someone on Twitter, how many followers did they? 2.6 million to try to sell t-shirts. They sold 7, was it? 36. Better than 7. But now, but with that many followers, they were only able to sell that many? That's crappy. So you need to look at their audience. See who they are. One of the most important things is being able to see if those followers of that influencer, they're in the location that you want them to be. So let's say, for example, I want to find an influencer from West Virginia. I might find an influencer from West Virginia. That doesn't mean that their followers are from West Virginia. So what good is that if they're posting for me? So check their followers, okay? And part of checking their followers is also checking for fraud. So maybe we find someone from West Virginia. Maybe their followers are from West Virginia. Doesn't mean that they're fake, that they're not fake. They could have bought them. They're bots. It's the easiest thing to buy followers and likes. Easy and really inexpensive. Type it into Google, say buy followers, buy likes. For like $10, you could get thousands and thousands of people and likes. But there's not quality. Another good way to check for quality or fraud is for you to look at the engagement rate. If someone does have millions and millions of followers, but is getting like 10 likes, something's off there, right? That's another thing to take a look at. Also, the quality of the comments. So you might have someone that got 100 comments, but if it's only like a thumb or an emoji here or there, it's not really quality. And of course, people are using emojis more and more. I use emojis more and more. But you really, the algorithms on Facebook, Pinterest, so on, are looking for quality engagements. So we will look at that as well. And review their content. This has happened even in my earlier days of social media. We'd engage with someone and forget to look at their profile. Who knows what bad things they've been posting or they've been doing? I can tell you some horror stories. Like, oh, we selected this person, they're amazing. I go back, not even like a couple of years or anything, I'll go back like a couple of months, and I'm like, they posted this really racist thing here. Like, I don't know if you want them to be representing your brand. Let's get rid of them. But you don't even want to get to that position. Again, it's easier. You just get rid of them and you have thousands of other ones you could work with. But why even bother? Focus on quality. Focus on getting it right the first time, not the second time. So many people are just jumping in. Yeah, we're going to do this influencer marketing thing. And then they fail, and then they tell me it's ineffective. And then when I ask them about their strategy, they're like, oh, we didn't do any of this. I'm like, yeah, this is why I failed. It's all right, though. Again, I'm happy. This is my job. This is what I do. I get to evangelize for this. I get to help brands. I get to tell them how it works. That's what we get to do, too. So I love it. When people come to us with problems, we're trusted advisors. That's where we should get energized. Then using the marketing mix. This is like duh, right? But it's not. Like, people are not doing this. Make sure it's supportive and complementary of your other content. Traditional, digital, all that. Make sure that it makes sense. Paid media, as I mentioned before, boost your posts. I can't tell you the countless amount of people telling me that they don't understand paid media or even like a little bit about it. If you're in social media today, you need to understand paid media. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Demand gen, lead gen, being able to go ahead and focus. And let me tell you, there is no better time to be alive as a marketer. If we went back 10, 15 years, even maybe 5 years really, and I was able to tell any business owner, whether it was someone at Coca-Cola or a hot dog stand, that I could go ahead and target a specific person, a specific profile of a customer to the T, and only hit them, and only hit them when they're actually focused and online, they'd be like, here's $1 million, here's $1 billion. We could do that. We could focus on someone who used to live in New Jersey, that now lives in Denver, that teaches at West Virginia University, that has a pug. We could target that person. That person being me. Like, we could get that crazy for relatively low money. Pop up in your phone, if you have an Instagram business account, look to see how many people you could target. I actually did an ad earlier. I spent about $7. Does that mean I'm short on time? Oh, wait. Yeah? No? All right, it's all right. It doesn't matter. You're focused on me, not the words. So make sure that you're using that. Traditional media. You remember before earlier? That was beautiful content that was being created. That could easily have been a print ad. Why wouldn't you make it a print ad? Take it, reuse it. For $100, you'd have an amazing print ad. Anybody in traditional media knows how long it takes to create print, the quality. It takes months for one print ad. But now you could have images ready to go, use it on social media, use it on paid media, and you know it works though too, because it's already doing well. So take a look at everything that's doing well in influencer, everything that's doing well organic, and use those photos. You have a focus group built in, and a focus group that's way better than people at the mall. Less expensive. All right, this is obvious too, but track what you do, track what influencers do, use brand lift and sales lift studies. This is what you need to do. You're going to be asked all the time, and people ask me all the time, is this working, is this not working? Are you measuring it? Are you measuring it correctly? But again, it's not always based on sales. It's brand lift, sales lift, all those kind of studies. How many times have people seen your brands? Are they aware of it? Do they trust it? Do they not trust it? Those are important things. And again, that ROI question, of course, it's not one-to-one all the time. But you're getting close to answering that. It's the one question everyone says we can't answer. But let's get as close as we freaking possibly can. Let's teach our students that there are tools out there that are not related to social media. Sometimes we have too much of a focus. It's like social media, digital. These have existed forever, and they should be used. They should be used in conjunction with everything else you're doing. Right? Use tools. So I'm a big fan of MarTech, or marketing technology, being able to use tools to support us. If you're not using tools nowadays for any kind of communications marketing, really, you need to start using tools. They're going to help you scale. They're going to help you be more effective. They're going to help you really reach who you're trying to reach. Tools are the most important thing. Use them to manage influencers, to manage incentives. Incentives being what you're actually paying the influencers. And you can pay influencers in really anything. Promo codes, go ahead and give them cash, gift cards, send them free product. If anything, gift cards and promo codes are probably the easiest thing. Let them go buy something. And they're used to doing that too. So I actually did something with Goya. And I'm like, here's $50. Go ahead and buy a product. And then once you post, I'll give you another $50. That's what I mean by incentives. They went and bought it. Common practice. They're used to that. I didn't have to worry about fulfillment. Sending food, sending anything is a mess if you've ever tried it. All-in-one tools. All right. Last but not least, be serious. If you're going to invest in this, invest in it. Don't just say like, oh, we're going to try this little influencer marketing thing. That used to happen in social media. Who knows that? Like, we're going to try this social media. We're going to try Facebook. We're just like, whatever. Here's like a budget of $10. Yeah, it's going to fail. Right? Be serious about it. Like, that's the most important thing. If you're going to invest your time, invest in it. I always get that question. I still get that question. Should we be on Pinterest? Should we be on Snapchat? Should we be on this? Are you going to invest in it? No, not really. Then don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it for your brand. It's not worth it for you as a marketer. That's the work you want to show. You spend $10 on trying to promote your YouTube channel or your Facebook channel. That's going to go into your portfolio. That's going to help the brand. That's a waste of time. Take that money and put it under paid media. That's going to do so much better. So, my clicker's not working that well. If you believe in human connections, and I know that you guys definitely do, right? Bam. I know you guys definitely believe in human connections. We wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be tweeting. You wouldn't be doing what you do. You wouldn't be teaching. You wouldn't be focused. You wouldn't be hanging out. Did she not come? She's not here?
I don't think she's here today.
No. Oh, she would have yelled at me already.
Yeah, she would have.
Yeah.
I'll shout out for her.
So if you believe in it, and I know you do, you believe in influencer marketing. So go get them. Thank you. Love you. Do we have time for questions? Or I know my watch died.
5 minutes.
5 minutes? All right. Thank you. Sure.
I do a lot of B2B,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm wondering, in your experience, have you found is B2C and B2B the same, or are there differences?
There's differences. So the question is, if you're doing B2B and B2C, are there differences? There definitely are. B2C is much easier right now. There are B2B influencers. There definitely are, from all spectrums. Like obviously Gary Vaynerchuk being like at the top, and then other folks being at the bottom. But B2B is a bit harder. There are ways to do it, and most of the time we're seeing it's for them to help with inbound marketing, creating content, newsletters, things like that. That's probably the best part for B2B. But that's an area that also, if you're trying to focus on influencer marketing and solve and be ahead of the game, getting into B2B is going to be so much better. And obviously on B2C, there are brands that work much better than other brands. Like CPG brands work well because of the low margins, but like fashion brands, workout companies, things like that, like does really, really well. But yeah, does that answer your question?
Yep.
Yep.
The example that you shared there with the Walmart tweet, with the lady that said for every share, Walmart would donate 10.
Yeah.
I'd just like to kind of know your thoughts on that particular content strategy. Personally, and
Sure.
maybe this is just me, but personally, I never trust those.
Okay.
And I don't know if that's a common
Yeah.
feeling or not, but I mean, is that a successful strategy with that? Am I the only one that feels that way?
Sure.
Or is that one of your least trusted content strategies?
Got it. So the question was, for what we saw earlier, and I would go to it, the clicker's a little bit slower. For the Walmart example, there was an influencer asking, go ahead and take an action, and then go ahead and we'll go and donate something. And the person asking the question said they don't really trust those pieces of content themselves personally. Does it work? Does it not work? Just like any other tool or any other content strategy, I say test and learn. What may work for one brand, it doesn't work for the other brand. The other thing that I really like to say, like a lot of marketers, a lot of people in the professional world are like, don't post anything that says like this, if that, right? But guess what? They're only talking to other marketers. That's not cool. It's not cool. Like we've been doing a lot of different things. That's not cool to marketers. And they're the ones that don't trust it. But my mom, oh yeah, cool, I like that. All right? So the difference is, what are we doing for ourselves and what are we doing for our own portfolio and what's cool or not cool based on our own circles, or what's actually going to work for your client? So that's really the way I'll answer that. It might work for one brand, and it may not work for another. So obviously it's working for Walmart, but that doesn't mean it's going to work for Wendy's. Test and learn. And again, focus on what's going to be successful for you and your brand.
Would you consider the work that a firm such as Nike has been doing for decades now, where outfitting athletes more a matter of influencer or marketing or mass media?
Sure. So the question is, let's look at what Nike and other brands have been doing traditionally, putting shirts, logos on people, cars, etc. And is it more traditional or mass media? It's more mass media, because right now, I guess from even a technical term, like influencer marketing is if you're using them on social media. So like straight from like just the definition of the words and the term, influencer marketing falls under digital media. And then that is mass marketing, PR. And even truthfully, when I didn't mention mega influencers, like Kim Kardashian, there was an example on that. But that's even like iffy if you want to consider those influencers, because you're really engaging with PR at that point. Like you're engaging with their teams, you're working with them, you're coming up with ideas. With the influencers, you're really just sending like a quick little brief. Hey, we need you to create these pieces of content. We need you to create a couple of blog posts. You're only dealing with them. Very few times do they have representation. So from like a technical, just studying perspective, I'd definitely separate them.
Is there a review process for what your influencers post, or do you just give something to Jake Paul and trust that he's going to put something out there that's...
Is there a review process for what you post? There can be. Just write that into your contract. But really, that's not the best thing. And the influencers themselves, and again, if we're talking about working at scale, you're talking to 100,000, 50,000 influencers that you're working with. It's not the best. You're not going to be one to be working with them. That's why tools are important, and also managing them, and checking the quality beforehand is going to be the most important. But again, because we're doing it at scale, if one messes up, asking to delete it doesn't really matter. So yeah, it's going to happen. There are many brands, especially like alcohol brands, pharmaceutical brands, so on and so on, that will ask for the process, but influencers don't want to work with you, and then it's always going to be harder. At the end of the day, build trusts and start working with influencers on the regular. That way, eventually they know what you're posting, and they know what you like and what you don't like. That's really a key, and there's really a key for even on Oreo. So the Oreo blackout tweet, for those that are not familiar with it, we were able to tweet really, really fast. I attribute that to the team, myself and the rest of the team that was there. There was lots of other people that we knew the brand so well. I still know almost everything there is to know about Oreo cookies. The first one were sold in Hoboken, New Jersey. It was cooked in Manhattan. You talk about no more than 3 Oreo cookies. I don't say Oreos, I say Oreo cookie, right? Oreo cookies, because that degrades the trademark. I know the brand so well, and the team knew the brand so well, they were able to post fast. And you want to have the same relationship with your influencers.
And don't you find that the influencers take their business very serious also? And they ask just as many questions of you in the process?
Yeah. So the question is, influencers take themselves very serious as businesses, and they ask for a lot of the same quality from you. 100%. That's true. But that's really when you're getting into the macro and you're calling people influencers. You could replace the word influencer with business. Each and every single one of these folks is its own individual business. But when you start focusing on micro, and when you start calling them brand ambassadors, then you're finding people like, let's say, like my mom or my sister or my cousin, who have followings, who are trusted by people that don't consider themselves businesses. So then that's the sweet spot. Maybe the quality isn't always going to be the best, but you're going to get the amplification of content. You're going to get trusted people creating things for you, and you're going to be able to get it at the $50. And if you find people that love your brand, that's the key too. If you're looking at an influencer that's just a business, and I do this as a business, that's going to be expensive. They're going to create good content, but it's going to be expensive. But if you find someone who really loves your brand and also is creating good content, you can get it done for less money. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Can you talk a little more about the trust aspect? I mean, can you talk a little more about the trust aspect? You know, kind of what she was talking about, and a couple of them, it's...
Trust aspect?
Yeah, because once you get to a certain point, I feel like, especially after fire, I mean, as a marketer,
Sure,
you're
yeah.
kind of skeptical about any marketing, because you
Of course.
kind of see tricks and stuff.
Yeah.
But definitely after the fire festival, you have like this, all of a sudden everyone's kind of a little bit less trusting of influencers
You got it.
at a certain level, but it seems like more more on the micro,
Sure.
there's a little bit more trust, but if you kind of speak a little to that.
Yeah, so the question is related to the trust factor, and especially after the Fire Festival. Do people trust it, do not trust it? First and foremost, people that know about influencer marketing when I say that word are marketers. Again, I point to my mom, my grandma, the grandma test, if my grandma understands it or knows it, right? But they don't know what we're talking about when we say influencer marketing. They don't even know what I say when I say social media, right? So we got to get out of our heads and focus on our customers a lot more. Now, there is a problem with trust, and that's why the government has gone and involved. You have to say ad or sponsors. But that's really focused, you have to really focus on picking the quality influencers, someone who really represents their brand. If you look at their content and they're promoting, you know, Dasani water one day, then Pepsi water the other day, that person's not going to be trusted. You don't want that person representing your brand. So find people that really represent their brand, only promote the things that they trust, that they love, and that equity, like one begets the other in that perspective. If people trust them, they're going to trust your brand, and it works out. And the God honest truth really is that no one's really looking at the hashtags anyway, where it says ad. Like, very few people. Actually, and maybe you guys found that I looked up studies. I couldn't find studies. That'd be a good thing to study. But like, no one's looking at those. And then all of a sudden, you have 30 Instagram hashtags that you could use. You can bury it at the bottom. No one's looking at them. So the trust factor, generally speaking, it's not an issue.
Okay.
Yeah.
But from a transparency perspective, I mean, at Facebook now, when you do a targeted ad, it'll say, like, why am I
Yeah.
doing this ad? And you know, it shows you, you're on someone's email list.
Sure.
You're uploading.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think, one, transparency is always.
Oh, yeah. You should always be transparent. The question is, on Facebook, on paid media, you'll actually see that it says promoted post. I look at everything as a human perspective. I want to be honest.
Right.
I don't want my brand to do anything that's deceiving. So, yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
Even though it might make you some bucks now, I'm looking at the long term.
Great presentation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Can you talk a little bit about squad before, ways to monitor that? So
Yeah.
that you can figure out, okay,
100%.
squad followers and maybe expand upon what they are.
Yeah. So Maverick, I actually work with Maverick, so there we go, being honest. Maverick is a great influencer marketing platform. They let you do all in one, and they have fraud detection. Actually, through the Forrester Wave, they were rated as one of the highest when it comes to that. They look at engagement pods. Engagement pods are like, I'll like your post if you like my post. And people are still doing the same thing, engagement rate, all that kind of good stuff. You have to use tools. Truthfully, you could do it manually, kind of-ish, but it would be impossible, and especially if you're doing it at scale, 50 to 1,000 people.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, you're not. And these tools also allow you to actually, the influencers to connect their pages. So we're looking at their real analytics. You don't want them to be self-reported. That happened earlier. We're like, yeah, 50,000, they're from here. Trust me. That doesn't work. How am I doing on time?
We need to get started on the
All right.
next one.
Cool. I'm around. Ask me, tweet me, call me, text me. I'm here all night. Ask me, we can talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Liel.